Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the last class, we discussed who a Pandita is. Krishna told Arjuna, if you become a Pandita, you will not grieve for anyone living or dying. This is in context to the war battlefield. In the battlefield, the war that Arjuna is supposed to fight Bhishma and Drona, and uh, he gets confused. He gets cold feet in terms of prosecuting this war. So then Krishna says, you have to become a Pandita. So we try to understand who a Pandita is. And we looked at who a Pandita is through one of the other verses in the Bhagavad Gita itself, in the 18th verse of the 5th chapter. Panditaha Samadarshinaha. The Panditas sees equanimity. He sees the same in everybody. Everyone, to him, he treats them equally because he sees them equally. And what does this seeing equally mean? See, in our waking state, we see different, we consider ourselves to be this body and mind, and we see other different bodies and minds we interact with. There's a duality. So we see differentiated sighting there. Different people, different animals, different objects like that. However, if we go to the deep sleep, in the waking state, that's all we can know about us, that we are the body and mind. And how can we know who really we are, what this Pandita means? So for that, we reviewed the Mandukya Upanishad section, where the Avastatraya is discussed, the three states. So waking state experience is, I am the body and mind. That is what we have experienced. Now, when we go to dream, we go to sleep and then we have a dream. And in the dream, I know that my body is in the room I'm sleeping before I went to bed, where I was sleeping. But I travel all over the world, where I can be transacting with anybody, either in the body that I think I am. That could also be possible, or I could have a totally different body also. Either case, there are two bodies involved. Obviously, there's only one body, and then two bodies cannot be transacting at the same time, whom I consider myself. So we negate the body. I am not the body. So then there's a doubt comes, am I the mind? Now, this doubt cannot be resolved in the dream state itself. We will have to go to the deep sleep state. And in deep sleep, during the sleep in real time, I don't know anything. I don't even know I exist. However, when I get up in the morning, I do report that I slept very well. So that means I must have been there. I must have been there. I was not the body. I was not the mind. Mind was also not there. So there must have been a witness. That witness, I slept very well. And that witness is reporting in the morning that I slept very well. I was happy. So this is that means I am not the body and mind. There is a possibility that I am this witness. The witness that observed me during deep sleep and reported that I slept very well. And this is the experience of every one of us. In the deep sleep, we don't know anything, but when we get up in the morning, we do have a report that I slept very well. Since this is the same experience in each and every one of us, the deep sleep of a person sleeping on the most comfortable bed and a person sleeping on a slab of stone, it's the same experience. There is no difference. So therefore, I conclude that the same consciousness is pervading through all of us. Therefore, the one and the same consciousness pervades through all of us. The witness consciousness in me is the same as you, and therefore, I conclude here that I am not the body and the mind. I am this witness consciousness. Since this witness consciousness is the same, This is what a Pandita experiences. This way, witness consciousness is called Atma in our spiritual context. So this we quoted some say references to describe this as the Atma. And then, so the Atma of me and the Atma of every one of you and the Atma of a devil, they are one and the same. This is what the Pandita see. He sees the Pandita. Pandita sees the Atma in everyone. When I say Atma, he sees everyone. We also discuss some of the characteristics of this Atma. It is not sense perceptible. It is not destructible. It is the weapons cannot kill it. It is infinite. These are all some of the discussion, descriptions of the Atma that we discussed, citing the verses, second chapter, 16 to 29. So when I say he sees the Atma, it is not the physical seeing of we see objects with our eye. It is the experience. The physical eye sees the same the objects as they are presented. But inside him, he experiences the same Atma that is in everybody. So this is a Samadarshi, or this is a Pandita. This is what we discussed last class. So we will so this Pandita or a Samadarshi we discussed here. Yes, let me this slide now. So if I am looking at a dog and I perceive a dog and nothing else, I am seeing a dog, he is not a Pandita. But if a Pandita sees a dog and in him, in the experience he has is that of the Atma. What does it mean? See, Atma is non-modifiable. There is no vikara in Atma. Therefore, if I see a dog, there is a vikara in my mind. There's a modification in my mind that says I'm seeing a dog, like seeing a cow or something. There's a different modifications in the mind when a non-Pandita looks at a dog or a cow. Whereas if a Pandita sees a dog or a cow, then in him, as much as the eye is seeing the dog or the cow, there is no modification in his mind because he is seeing the Atma. He is experiencing the Atma in the dog, in himself, because he himself is he is located in Atma. He is a Atmastaha. He is one who is residing in Atma. He is not residing in the body. So for him, there is no modification in his mind. Having no modification, this is what we discussed as one of the characteristics of Atma. It has no modifications. It remains the same. That's what a witness consciousness is. A witness can never change. So he is a Pandita who does not see any modifications in his mind, even as he sees different objects in this universe. So that is the difference between a Pandita and a non-Pandita. Now, we said this Atma is pure consciousness. It's akarta. It doesn't do any actions. It's a non-doer, and it exists in each and every one of us in itself by itself. It has no role to play in our physical actions. But this Atma, another strange thing about this Atma is it cannot by itself show up. It needs a medium to be manifested. It needs a medium to be experienced. So this pure consciousness being not taking part in anything, it doesn't go through any modifications. This needs another medium to experience it. That is what we have this body and mind for. So the pure consciousness is manifested through an inert entity because there is only one consciousness. Therefore, it cannot be. There's nothing to say it can be experienced through another consciousness. Therefore, it can only be experienced or manifested through an inert entity. And this pure consciousness is the one that gives sentiency to the mind and body. The mind and body, as it is inert. Now I'll give an example of this. Many texts give this example. There is a magnet, and it is just sitting. Magnet is doing nothing. It is just sitting in one place, and any iron filings comes or something made out of iron comes closer to it. It gets attracted. It moves towards the magnet. The iron filings is a good example that is given. So the iron filings are like the body and mind, and the magnet is like the Atma. So this Atma sits there as a witness, and it supports all actions through our body. And this pure consciousness, therefore, can only be experienced by the movement of the body and all the sights we see and the music we hear, etc., etc. Otherwise, this is all inert objects, and they have no ability to be aware of things. To be aware of things, there should be a sentient entity, and that sentient entity is the witness consciousness that we call the Atma. Now we have this. So far, we were thinking we are the body and mind until we came across this finding to ourselves that I am the body and mind. We didn't think of anything else. Then we said, with our experience or analyzing the three states, we came to know that there is an additional dimension to ourselves. That is the Atma. So the body and the mind are functioning through the Atma. The Atma provides the sentiency to the body and mind. And now, if you see here, what we do have, we have tools like pen and hammer and whatever computers. All these are two tools for us, and we use the tools to do transactions. This world. Now, Atma being changeless, it does not take part in any activity and all. It has this body and mind as its tools. What the hammer and the pen are like to the body and mind for us, to the Atma is this body and mind. Body and mind are tools. Added to that, you have the prana. Prana is somewhere in between the sentiency and the inert, if you want to understand it that way. So the prana provides the physical mechanism through which the actions of the mind are transmitted into the physical body. So these are the tools, and we use the tools to find the Atma, to experience the Atma. So the physical body and the mind are the tools to experience the Atma, just like the pen and the hammer, etc., are tools to experience the transactions of the body. So now we define what I call as a spiritual anatomy of a living being. This can be, I have shown a human picture here, but this can be any animal, any body that has consciousness. That physical entity is called the physical or the gross body. And then we have the subtle body that has the mind. There's so many other things. The prana also comes under the subtle body. And then the Atma or consciousness is the third entity that we have just discovered that we are made up of. There is a third dimension to ourselves apart from the physical body and the subtle body, and that is the Atma or the consciousness. So what this Atma, Atma pervades everywhere. I said the Atma is there in me and in you and everybody. It's like space. Space is divided. There is one single space, and each room is a confined space. But if the room walls are taken out, the walls inside the room, space inside the room, and the space outside the room, they merge a continuity. Like that, this Atma is pervading through all beings. It is there in dead beings also, And so this Atma, when it sees something, our mind, antakarana, if you will, that that needs some sentiency to experience objects that we see, or the music that we hear, or any speech that we hear. So it is this Atma, it is shining in this antakarana that helps us transact business, or see things, hear things, touch things, all these, that experience that we see. All that is the sentiency for experiencing all worldly transactions is coming to us through the reflection of this Atma in our antakarana of the mind. This reflection of the consciousness in the antakarana is called the Jivatma. The Jivatma is not an entity like Atma. Atma, as we said, Sat Chit Ananda. So this Jivatma is different in different beings depending on the quality of the mind. So we have shown three persons here. If you see, closely see the reflection of this Atma in the mind is different in different beings. So this is what is the Jivatma. The Jivatma are the manifested Atma. The Sanskrit term used is Jivatma. There is no good English word to describe this Jivatma. We can say that it is the one that is, there is a reflected consciousness is being used, and where the Atma being called the original consciousness. So there are different names for this Jivatma in English. I use the word manifest Atma because the body manifests this Atma, and that is captured in our mind. And so these are some of the names that are used to describe Jivatma. I'm only telling them that if you see this terminology in some books described, what they are talking, you will get to understand. All right. With this, so the consciousness reflects according to the quality of the mind. Now, in here, I have shown a variety of beings. Even Brahma, creator Brahma, is a Jivatma. Indra is a Jivatma. All animals are Jivatmas. All plants and mountains, they're all Jivatmas. Now, if you see here, I have shown the reflection in Brahma and Indra that is very close to the original consciousness. It's not exactly that, but it is very close because these are very highly evolved beings. Now, the reflection in a totally inanimate object like mountains, etc., is fairly dark because there is not a not a developed mind in them. And so in between, you see other animals and all, they have different levels of reflection in their antakarana, or the mind, and that shows the differences in the Jivatma. We do consider Jivatmas are different, but in Advaita Vedanta itself, one school of Advaita Vedanta, the debate is there one Jivatma or many Jivatmas? And we will not get into that. We will at this point recognize that each reflection in different bodies is a Jivatma. And this Jivatma, again, is, as I said, it's a transient state. It is not a Sat, it's not an existent state. That's how we can define the existent state as well as the transient state. So this is the general layout of the different beings, their consciousness reflecting their mind. So that Jivatma, we understand that way. Okay. So this Paramatma, the original consciousness, or the Atma that is pervading everywhere, is called Paramatma. That Paramatma is eternal. It was there yesterday, it is here today, it is going to be there tomorrow. The Avastatraya, the three states we saw, that describes that. So the Paramatma is eternal, and Jivatma is a state. Today's Jivatma, what I am today, I may have a different state in 10 years down the road. I may be physically so weak, my mental acumen is so weak that my Jivatma state would be different at that time. So this Jivatma, as I said, other terms used to describe this Jivatma is the manifest Atma. Conditioned Atma is also seen. I don't like this word conditioned Atma because conditioning does not happen here. And Atma being, when we say Satchit Ananda, one Atma, conditioning it doesn't make much appeal to me. But nevertheless, you may see it. So manifest Atma or manifest consciousness is generally accepted. It shows the Atma, you can experience it. What we are experiencing in our day-to-day life through different transactions is what is manifest Atma. So the question then is, how does a Jivatma become a Paramatma? That is the question that is being in front of us. And that is exactly what Krishna is telling Arjuna also. So that is our initiation to Bhagavad Gita. How does a Jivatma become Paramatma is the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, with this we can continue. So Krishna is saying like this: if he tells Arjuna, if you become a Pandita, you will ignore all these names and forms of Bhishma and Drona. Physically, you are seeing Bhishma and Drona through your eyes. Then you will ignore them. If you become a Pandita, you will ignore those forms. You will know them as the Atma, the same as you. The Atma that you are is the same Atma, Bhishma and Drona. And therefore, a Pandita is a Paramatma. A Paramatma is one who is not affected by what is around him. Mind is so pure that the reflection is 100% same as the original consciousness, and that is a Paramatma. So that witness is Satchit Ananda. It is called Atma, consciousness, pure consciousness, self, Brahman. Now, one word to say between Atma and Brahma is, see, in each one of us, when we recognize this Atma, it is this consciousness, it is called Atma. And when this same consciousness is recognized in the cosmic sense, it is called Brahma. That's only a name difference to distinguish between the consciousness that is associated with the universe of Jagat and the consciousness in individual. This understanding that this consciousness is one and the same, connecting it to Jagat, then we come to see the various varieties in the universe. But still behind all these varieties is the same Atma that is pervading through all of them, like in each one of us. So identification with Atma or consciousness, that you are a Paramatma, the eternal, you have achieved moksha or liberation. Now, if I identify myself as I'm a male with 5 feet 10 inches, I'm 160 pounds, all those things, then I'm a Jivatma. This Jivatma is a transient state. What it does is I'm identifying with the body and mind. All the characteristics of the body and mind are now transferred to Jivatma, and the body and mind is keep changing every day, every moment. And the Jivatma is transient. And ultimately, when this, we will see later on all the details with respect to how this bondage is created and how the transmigration or the birth in another body happens. These are all the subject matter that is discussed in the Bhagavad Gita. So now, having discussed this, we said being a Paramatma is a state of moksha. What is this moksha? Now, in very simple terms, moksha is the liberation from the perennial cycle of births and deaths. We know that we are born, and every birth has a death associated with it. And once a person dies in whatever, whether it's a body, a man or an animal, or it doesn't matter whichever it is, a death follows a birth. This comes in the Gita also. So this death guarantees birth, and that birth may be either the human birth, or it could be a divine birth like Brahma, Indra, Varuna, etc., or it could be an animal plant birth. It depends on how we accrue credits to ourselves in our human birth. Human birth is associated with you have this intellect with you in the human birth, and therefore God expects more from us than from animals and plants. Plants don't have an intellect. They don't have the ability to discriminate right from wrong, and therefore they are only on a time scale. See, this the way this is said is in our scriptures. There are 84 lakhs, that is 8.4 million species of births before we get human birth. And now we have gone, for sure we can say we have gone through the 84 or 8.4 million births before coming to be a human birth. Now we may have, even after getting a human birth, as I said, God expects certain things from us because he has given us the intellect. And if we don't live up to that, his expectation, he said, you may as well, you don't make use of the potential I gave you. And therefore, you may as well be free without having this burden of being discriminative in your behavior, doing the right things and all those. So we go back to the animal or the plant birth. That could be possible. So the birth definitely guarantees a death. A death guarantees a birth. This is the essence of the philosophy, the Hindu philosophy itself. So attaining to moksha is possible only from a human birth. Why? Because as I said just now, that we got the ability to discriminate right from wrong. Moksha, the practice to disciplinary practice to experience moksha requires that discriminated behavior. Animals don't have it. And one other thing is the karma that we do, the actions that we do, accrues a karma phala, fruits of action in the human birth, but the animals and plants, they don't experience any, they don't accumulate any fruits of actions. If, a tiger does not get food, prey in one day, it doesn't get the benefit of doing upvasa. So the human being, on the other hand, if he does upvasa, there is some credit to him. We see this in that Shivaratri story. So anyway, that's will not digress there. It's so much to know that there is a fruit of action associated with human activities. There is no fruit of action associated with animals. So attaining to moksha demands an extremely difficult discipline practice. That extremely cannot be overstated. It is that much difficult. If we go from where we are today, if we do not do much in this life, we may not even get an opportunity to do another get another round of human life, and that is why all the gurus, they say don't postpone it. If you postpone it for okay, I will. If you table your discipline practice for next life, we don't know when we get that human life. So do it now. That's the teaching of the science itself. Okay. So this Atma eternal. Attainment to this moksha is synonymous to living in the Atma. We are living in the body now. Now, what is living in Atma? Seeing everybody the same, samadharshitva. That is living in Atma. So Krishna tells Arjuna that living in Atma demands transcending the gunas. What is this guna? Why and how? Is the guna that is it the guna that pollutes the mind? These are the questions that we need to ask and understand and get answers to this. So what is guna? Krishna defines here, Krishna talks about here, what is the impediment to seeking, and let me see if I can, no, okay, what is the impediment to, I think there's one more. What is the impediment to achieving Paramatma? How to overcome the guna? That is being described in the second chapter, 45th verse. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistrair Gunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasatvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan. Now, we are introducing this term guna in this verse. The Vedic injunctions, the meaning goes like this. The Vedic injunctions are rooted in the triad of proclivities, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Krishna says even the subject matter of the Vedas is associated with the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And then he says, Arjuna, become free of proclivities. Guna is proclivity in English. That translates to proclivity, tendency to do certain things in a certain way. So Krishna tells Arjuna, Nistrayar Gunyo Bhavarjuna, hey Arjuna, you become free of proclivities. We all have these gunas, but in order to become the Paramatma, we have to shed off this guna, the proclivity. So, and then he also says a few things that are associated with it. Nirdvandvaha bhava. This bhava you have to use with Nishtair Gunya, Nirdvandva, Nityasattva, Niryogakshema. For all this, we have to use this word bhava, means become. Hey Arjuna, you become free of proclivities. You transcend the pair of dualities. That is, you become free of the pair of dualities. And then Nityasattvastaha, you be seated in the unwavering sattva and be devoid of acquisition and preservation. Niryogakshema. Yogakshema. Krishna uses elsewhere with the word Yogakshema. I will take care of the Yogakshema. Here he says you become Niryogakshema. You become free, void of this acquisition and preservation. Yoga is acquisition. Kshema is preserving what we have acquired. So he says Niryogakshema, you become. So what is this Traigunya? Traigunya are the three gunas, is a proxy for transmigration. It is the gunas that drives action, and the gunas driving the action, when you associate with this body and mind, it has the effect of providing, giving you a fruit of action. Experiencing the fruit of action so many times requires another birth. So that is the proxy for transmigration. Now, Vedic karmas bond the practitioner to these gunas. Vedic karmas are the highest level of karmas that you can make. When he says Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, everything below that, all the vritti dharmas that we do, the living that we do, the karma or the activities that we do for our living are of a lower category than the karma associated with the Vedas. So when Vedic karmas are stated here, everything else is included. All actions are included, and all actions are affected by these three karma gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So Vedic karmas bond the practitioner to these gunas. And then you're saying that I cannot, okay, if I do karma, I get associated with these karma gunas, so I don't want to do karma. That we cannot do, because we cannot even think of not doing karma. We will have to be doing karma, one thing or the other. So karma is not to be given up, but the karma tainted with desire is to be given up. We will see how this all fits in as we go along. So the fruits of action, that is what comes out of duality. Yoga and Kshema are driven by gunas. Yoga is acquiring something. Kshema is protecting something. Yoga is, if we want to take the example of we work 8 hours a day, we acquire certain material wealth, that is yoga. And then in order to protect that, I take insurance policies, or I take, I invest the money in something So that is kshema. So yoga and kshema, these are driven by gunas. Established in pure sattva is conditional to attain proclivity free. See, here he says nitya sattvaha, become nitya sattvaha. Now, Krishna seems to, one may say there is a contradiction here. He says nistrair gunyo bhava in one sentence, in one half of the verse, and in the second half of the verse, he becomes a nitya sattva. How can you be free of gunas when he says when you become nitya sattva? The message is simple there. The path to Nistraya Gunya is through Nitya Sattva. We have to become eternally Sattva, or the Sattva associated with no Rajas or Tamas before we can become Nistraya Gunya. That's what the two words describe here. So the gunas are the impediment to attain Paramatma. That is the ultimate statement coming out of this verse. You become Nistraya Gunya because that is the becoming guna free or proclivate free. There's no word proclivate in Sanskrit, in English, but I'm using it to nevertheless to make that point that you become free of gunas is called proclivate, non-proclivate. Okay? So the gunas are the impediment to this attaining Paramatma. Now, what is this guna? How to understand it? That's what we'll see here. The 14th chapter, 14, 15 to some extent indirectly, 16, 17, 18, they're all description of, to a large extent, the description of guna and its effects. So, sattvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabhavo dehe dehinam avyayam. Says, sattva, rajas and tamas are the proclivities of nature. It is there in nature. We cannot do anything about it. The Prakriti has these gunas which bind the immutable, that is the Atma, in this case, embodied in the body. That means the you take again birth again and again and again and again, and this Atma supports that birth all the time, that body all the time. So that immutable Atma is support is embedded in this body, appears to. You should never think of it as embedded in the real sense. It is appearing to as if because every body is supported by this Atma. So this guna is a technical term. It is integral with the Prakriti. It is in the Prakriti. It's only an appearance that the gunas bind the embodied Atma. It's not really true. You can say it reflects the Jivatma, but it is not really embodying the Atma itself. Now, where is this guna itself is very much a contribution of the Sankhya philosophy. What they describe here is, see, in human beings, we go through various emotional experiences. Happiness, sorrow, tired, so many other emotions we go through. And these emotions have to be supported in some way. There must be something that supports these various emotions. The same material in the body cannot be supporting happiness and sorrow or devotion, knowledge. All these cannot be supported by a single entity. Therefore, there is some differences in the entities in the body, and these are very, 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 very subtle matter. The sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is the most subtle particle or the matter. Rajas is a little more grosser than the sattva, and the tamas is a little more grosser than the rajas itself. So these are all particles, matter. Just like, if I want to give a comparison, think of the sattva, rajas, and tamas as the HDL and LDL of the mind itself. It's like that. There is something matter in there that makes it makes one happy, one sorrow, or one very sympathetic. All these are various human emotions. They have relation to this guna. And what this guna does is it tends us to do certain things in a certain way. I'll just narrate a story and show how this guna is driving this. See, this one guru, he had three students, uh, quite a coincidence here, and he gives the three of them 5 rupees each, and he says, you bring something that fills this room. It was a small gurukula, small room. So he gives them 5 rupees, and he says, you go and bring something. This room has to be, whatever you bring should fill this room. Then the one of them, he says, this guru is trying to pull a fast one. You can't buy anything for 5 rupees that fills this room. So he just whiles around here and there, and he goes back and returns the money to the guru, saying, I couldn't find anything that I could buy for 5 rupees that fills this. Then there was this other guy, other shishya. He said, Guru says something, I must be able to find something for 5 rupees. So he went around the town everywhere looking what he can find for 5 rupees. Then as he was going, he came across this one place. The farmer had just harvested, and he had a lot of hay in his farmland. So he said, he put a sign there, 5 rupees. You can buy, take as much hay as you want, and we will provide transportation also. So this Shishya comes back with a whole cart full of hay, and he says, this fills the room. So I could find something that met your expectation. Then the third one, he thought to himself, this must be a very tricky question. This must be doable, but this must be tricky. I have to really find out. So he also thought about it, went around, and then he went to a light shop and brought a lamp and for 5 rupees. And he brings to the Gurukula and lights it up and says, this light fills up the whole room. So the Guru said, you are a smart kid. And so the same goal for all the three of them, to show that to bring something for 5 rupees that fills the room. And we see here three different attitudes in three different people, three different outcomes. And this is representative, indicative of the sattva, rajas, and tamas. The first person, the third person who brought the lamp, he is embodied with sattva guna. And then the second person, the raja, who brought the hay, he is characterizing the rajas guna. And the other person who didn't do anything, he is characterizing this tamas guna. We will see how that fits in here. Okay. So the three discussions, three gunas, tatra sattvam nirmalatvat, prakashakam anamayam, sukha sanghena badnati, jnana sanghena chanaga. So he says, among these, the sattva being stainless, nirmalatvat. Nirmala means it is pure. There is no mala. Mala is stain. So nirmala, we also see some women having the name Nirmala. That's what it is, stainless. So the sattva being stainless is luminous and unhindered. Prakashakam anamayam. You cannot stop light from going anywhere. So this is luminous and it's unhindered. And what does it do? Sukha sanghena badnati. It binds the beings in bondage to happiness. Jnana sanghena, in addition to that, knowledge. So this we say if a person is very intelligent, we say he's very bright in that sense. That this light is synonymous to that. Light is synonymous to knowledge. So this person is bonded to happiness and knowledge. That's what Krishna tells Arjuna. So what is this nirmalatvat? Nirmalatvat means pure like a crystal. Crystal is 100% pure. So the sattva proclivity is free of defects, binds such a person. Even a person who is associated with sattva guna, is subject to births, and the binding means that's what it is. The work that a person does, even with such intelligence, if you will, it binds him. So how does it bind him? I am knowledgeable, I am happy. These are the statements we make. If I'm happy, I say I'm happy. And these experiences are associating I to this body and mind. So as long as your experience attaching to something, body and mind, there is a consequence to that. So these experiences are projected on the Atma. The body does not really do anything. So the Atma is the happiness, and the knowledge is transposed to Atma, whereas Atma is not, it's not, you see, if you say it is happy, then there should be a moment of unhappiness. So you cannot attach Atma. Atma is avikara. It is not modifiable. Therefore, all these attributes of duality, happy and unhappy, knowledge and ignorance, these cannot be attributed to Atma. They can only be attributed to the body and mind, and therefore it binds the person because you're associating with the body and mind. And being associating with the body and mind, you are likely to come back to experience the fruits associated with them. So that is one part of it. So knowledge and happiness are the attributes of the mind and not that of the Atma, as we just discussed, appearing to impose a modification on the Atma. But Atma is free of modifications. Therefore, it does not apply to Atma. It is applying only to the body and mind. And as long as you are applying to the body and mind, you face the consequences of that. This is Sattva. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. This Raja is of the nature of raga, that is passion. Passion is a stronger behavior even compared to desire. So this desire comes out of Rajoguna because it is of the nature of passion. Passion for anything, passion for knowledge, passion for reading, passion for doing something. You take it as your mission very intensely. So that is Rajoguna. That is Rajo Ragatmakam Viddhi. And what does it do? Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam. Out of that comes the thirst for whatever it is, the thirst or desire for, and it is attachment also. So it is the source of desire and attachment. When I say desire, I want that. And when I want that, I get very attached to it if I have it. So that is that is driven by Rajoguna. So the Sattva, Rajas is the source of desire and attachment. That also binds the embodied in attachment to action, because he is attached to action, and that's what he says. Tanni badnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. Karma sangha. He is associating with actions. This is what I said with the person who went after looking all over the town, finding what he can find for 5 rupees. And lo and behold, he found something, and he worked hard to find out what he got. So that is karma sangha. He is associated with actions. Any action again has its fruits, and he has to experience those fruits in a body, and that is what is binding nature is. So it couple of bullet points here. It creates desire and attachment for sense objects more so. So we have 5 sense organs, and each sense organ seeks something to go after, and it is this rajas that drives the sense organs to go after the sense objects. And what happens is when you do that, there's a false sense of happiness, entertaining the Atma with happiness. You're entertaining the body and mind, really the mind, the chapala we have, but there is a false sense of Atma being satisfied with that. That's really not so. So Rajas binds the jiva in action and bind him to the fruits thereof also. Karma sangha, Means once you have the karma sangha, you have the karma phala sangha also. Because I do karma to experience certain comfort. I earn so work 8 to 5, earn some money. Why I want to drive a car? So that becomes the attachment with the fruits of action. The fruit of this action is having some comfort, and he is driven by that. So that all those behaviors that generate desire, and desire for the fruits of action, the desire for action to secure the fruit of action, they are all characteristics of the rajas guna. Tamastvajnanajam viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhihi tannibadhnati bharata. So here is discussed the tamas, tamoguna or tamas guna, tamas proclivity. He says, know it that tamas is born of what? Ignorance, deluding all embodied beings. So mohana is moha is delusion. Where is this delusion coming from? It is born of ignorance. If I know 3 times 4 is 12, I just say there is a 3 times 4 is 12. And if I don't know for 3 times 4 is 12, I start guessing. When my parents were questioning me when I was young, 8 times 7 is what? If I know 56, I would answer. If I don't know 56, I will say 46 or 66 or 64 or 65, whatever. I'm trying various different. So that is confusion. That is delusion. I'm not knowing the answer, but I'm going after guessing. So that is born out of ajnana. If I knew the correct knowledge, there's no ajnana, there's no moha, there's no delusion. So the ajnana binds every person in delusion. And then it pramada alasya nidrabhi tannibadnati bharata. Pramada alasya nidra. Now this pramada I want to caution is not the Tamil pramada. The Tamil pramada is not, this is Sanskrit pramada, is kind of, negligence or confusion. These are all the terms that this pramada describes. So nidra, alasya is lethargy, nidra is sleep. So this confusion, delusion, ignorance, sleep, and negligence, these are all associated with the tamas proclivity. A person of tamas proclivity, I said the person who came back, the shishya who came back and returned 5 rupees, he was confused. He did not have the knowledge that 5 rupees can buy something. So that was the ignorance he had. And then to make it up, in order, he also was lethargy, or he was lazy. So he came back and returned the money. So the first one person who brought the lamp, he is not, he is clever, knowledgeable. So he brought something that reflects that knowledge that he had. One person was hardworking, and he found out something that the middleman. And the first one, he was lethargy and lazy, and he didn't do anything. So the tamas is born of ignorance. It deludes all jivas and causes indiscrimination. Indiscrimination means not able to show the right from the wrong. That's I think is the essence of capturing pramada. So this indiscrimination, are not able to correctly discriminate between right and wrong, that is pramada, and it causes forgetfulness, laziness, and sleep. And again, you can refer pramada to forgetfulness also. So in a sense, the tamas is ignorance and laziness. If you characterize it by these two, it fairly captures everything. So we all have all the three, everyone would have all the three components, but in different amounts in different times. We'll see here. So now this guna is in the Prakriti. Prakriti Vidhi Sambhavan. It's in Prakriti. And this particular table is constructed out of material in Bhagavata, where Krishna teaches Uddhava Gita. In the Uddhava Gita, Krishna talks about these gunas, and he characterizes the different aspects of our life, and what aspect is sattva, what aspect is rajas, and what aspect is tamas. So if you take Shastra or the scriptures, the Upanishads that discuss renunciation, that promote the renunciation of karma to know the Atma, that is considered as a Sattva scripture. Now, Rajas scriptures are there, all the karmas that we do, the yajnas, the Ashwamedha Yaga, the Rajsu Yaga, the Putrakameshti Yaga, these are all pro-engagement. It Pravrutti Marga in Sanskrit it is called. So those shastras that promote action, that promote activity, they are called Rajas enhancing scriptures. And then there is this Tamas enhancing scriptures, what are called pro-negative. What is pro-negative? You can do karma to hurt somebody. And if it is done correctly, it will hurt that person that you want to hurt. Now, how can Shastra have this? Only explanation here is that this is not done. The person who guides these pro-negative karmas, he is ethically bound. It's not that anybody who gives him dakshina, he will do it. This is a tactic in war times. If you want to cause difficulty to your opponents, the enemy has come to the your borders, and then you want time to prepare to face the enemy, then they use some of these tamasic or pro-negative karmas to stop the enemy. That's one application I have heard is fairly, it used to be common in olden days. It's not there today, but there are negative, these kinds of activities are there in today's warfare also. When everybody is sleeping, you go and bomb the whole country, whole state. That is also a kind of a negative action. Anyway, so then beverages, liquids, if you want to say, sacred river water, milk, these are considered sattva enhancing. Then the flavored drinks like coffee, tea, your cold beverages, whatever you have, and those are rajas enhancing. That's why if you sometimes if you feel very sleepy, you drink coffee and you feel a little more rejuvenated. So those are the rajas enhancing beverages. And then the third is the alcoholic nature. The alcohol, we know, it dims our mind. So that is tamas enhancing beverage. Now, there are people also, the three characteristics. Sannyasis are generally referred to as sattva enhancing. The family-centric person, who is a grihastha. A grihastha has to be, by necessity, has to be rajas person, because he has to provide food and shelter for the responsibility he has taken for the wife and children. So that is a rajas enhancing person. And criminals are the ones who cause harm to people. They are considered tamas enhancing. Places, lonely places are sattva enhancing. That's why meditation, lonely places are discussed. Marketplace is rajas enhancing. All the shows that we see, they are all rajas enhancing. If there is a show somewhere, what is the main attraction there? It is food and clothing. So new dresses and everything. So that's marketplace. So that is rajas. And then gambling centers come under the tamas enhancing places. Early morning is considered sattva enhancing. Brahmis muhurta, they say. If whatever you want to learn, if you get up early in the morning before sunrise, that is considered the most auspicious time for learning something. So that is sattva enhancing. Between daybreak and to sunset, we engage in various kinds of actions. That is rajas enhancing. And of course, after all the entire day working and all, at 10 o'clock in the night, we feel like sleeping. So that is tamas enhancing. Now, karma or actions worship meditation or sattva promoting karmas, uh, desire motivated, as I want to buy this, I want to buy that, I want children. These are all rajas enhancing karmas. And then this black magic again comes under something similar to the pro-negative or black magic karma scriptures. They come in that category. The karma, the tamasic actions relate to the black magic. Now, associate birth and life, being born in a very yogic family, it is considered sattva enhancing. Being born in a normal grihastha environment is a rajas enhancing birth and life. And then, similarly, being born in a drug addict's house or someone who is addicted to something else, those are tamas enhancing. The children don't have a good lead, how to lead a life. So they are tamas enhancing births and lives. And a meditation on Sri Hari is sattva enhancing. Meditation on the opposite sex is rajas enhancing. And meditating on enemies is tamas enhancing. We always see, if we have enmity with somebody, whether that person thinks of me or not, I'm always thinking on him. How can I find an opportunity to take revenge on him or her? That thoughts will be always with us. So that is tamas enhancing. And then even mantras, just like scriptures, there are mantras associated with sattva. This is the Omkara. Omkara is considered the most supreme mantra. You can think of Ekakshara mantra. So that is sattva enhancing. And all the mantras that we use in pujas and in weddings and all these things, jata karma, these are all rajas enhancing mantras. And then the black magic mantra, mantras used in those black magic karmas, they are called, they are tamas enhancing mantras. Then samskaras or impressions. Any action that cleanses the mind, like dana, tapas, these are all considered cleansing the mind. They come under the sattvas impressions. And then all the shodashopcharas, that samskaras that we do, jata karma to antyeshti, these are all rajas enhancing centric, because rajas enhancing impressions, because we do various karmas associated with these various samskaras, and that brings us back to another life. So they are rajas enhancing in that way. And any absence of any one of these, it becomes an idle mind, and there is no benefit, there's no value for that person to move forward. And so they come under tamas enhancing impressions or samskaras. So like this is in the Prakriti itself. In the Prakriti, we have these, and these gunas we inherit from the Prakriti, from the body and mind. Mind from the previous birth, from the previous life, whatever my mind contained at the time of death, the same mind enters another body at the time of birth. That is how the continuity is maintained. So those samskaras are those gunas that I had at the time of death of my past life. I inherit them at the beginning of this life. Now, does it mean that these gunas are static? No, they are dynamic. These gunas can be changed, and that's what we'll discuss next year. So this, let me show graphically some description of this, how gunas are manifested, or how gunas can be described and understood. Now, this is a three-dimensional plot I'm going to show you. The vertical line is sattva enhancing, sattva dharmic. All these are under the on the vertical line. On the horizontal line, you have what I describe as the rajas, activity and arrogance, and then across from these in the third dimension, lazy and ignorance, characterizing tamas. Now I draw here an object which is very close to the line here, the black line, and then it has no rajas. Rajas is very little rajas. It's almost on the floor. It has very little sattva, and this is like a stone or a rock or something like that is characterized by something that is black shown here. Now the in this plane, the rajas is going from 0 to 100. Here, the tamas is going 0 to 100. In the vertical line, the sattva is going 0 to 100. So somewhere, this is a rajasic person, a person who is always very busy acting. He doesn't have much sattva. He has some sattva, that vertical line between them, but he has a lot of rajas. He is hardworking person per se. So, is it bad, hardworking person being characterized as just? There's nothing to say bad or good. It's only a representation of that person. And then a person who is a sannyasi or someone who is very well advanced in his or her meditations, etc., is characterized by sattva here. I have shown here by a white color, but normally we will use the gold color elsewhere because it's easier to show than white color. And again, as I said, the difference between sattva, rajas, and tamas is how subtle it is. We cannot show subtlety on paper. So we describe the three subtle aspects of them by three colors. Okay. So sattva, rajas, and tamas like this. Now, an entity that is mostly tamas, it has some rajas, like an animal. So the black and red are being used to show tamas and rajas. And then a person here, he has some sattva. Yeah, this line from here to here is the sattva. He has some sattva shown by the gold color, and he has mostly rajas. He has some tamas shown here. And then the advanced person, he has mostly some rajas and tamas. Like, so this is how you can characterize people on a graph like this. Now, if we should plot the various objects of Prakriti in nature, the rocks sit here, almost 99% tamas, and maybe very, rocks also move 1 centimeter every billion years or something like that, if you say. So they have some rajas and almost no sattva at all. Now, next come in the evolution is the plants. They have some more rajas than rocks. And if you move like this, animals have sattva, rajas, predominant, and some sattva, some rajas. And then like this, if you come to human beings, less spiritually evolved human beings, they don't do really any spiritual practice or anything. They don't even follow the dharma. These are people who have rajas and tamas as their main ingredients. Human beings who live in dharma, they show some good amount of sattva and a good amount of rajas. And then spiritual human beings who have accomplished a purity of mind. That is how I can characterize this here. This person does not get angry. He is very helpful to people, very charitable. These are all characteristics of a person who has a high sattva. And so this is how you can plot the various guna components in people. And really, this is how we evolve also. I said we pass through 8.4 million life species. So we kind of come along this line in here. And then we get the human birth. And when we get the human birth, and then we start studying scriptures, we move up here. And then we start practicing spiritually, you move up here. I'll discuss that a little later. Okay. So these are the, that is how you advance. The guna is not static, it is dynamic, you can change it. And that is being discussed in the 10th verse of the 14th chapter, Rajas tamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata, rajas sattvam tamaschaiva, tamas sattvam rajas tatha. These all the three, sattva, rajas, and tamas, are in a competitive mode here. The sattva prevails, rejecting rajas and tamas. That means sattva overpowers rajas and tamas. And then that is when, see, in the early morning times, or a person who is, who doesn't drink any alcohol or coffee, he's a sattvic person. So in him, he has subsided all the rajasic and tamasic instincts, and he has prevailed in sattva in that aspect. Now, overcoming rajas and sattva, the tamas takes hold. In the night times, at 11 o'clock in the night, as much as you want to work, there is less energy in you. If you don't have a lot of energy, at that point, rajas and sattva take the second role, and tamas takes hold, and it predominates. Well, rajas dominates in overtaking sattva and tamas during daytime. If you have to work very hard on some physical entity, physical activity, then you put aside all sattvic things, because there is sattva doesn't help you there. Tamas, of course, you have pressed it down. So like this, at different times of the day, at different times of our life, and also pursuing different activities, the sattva, rajas, and tamas take predominance over the other, and show the behavior that way. And that is how you can consistently, if you are doing in one way, that increases the potential for that particular guna to predominate your life itself. So when sattva overcoming rajas and tamas predominates, sattva will express its effects of knowledge and happiness. So those are the characteristics of sattva. When rajas overcoming sattva and tamas, that prevails, then rajas expresses in its effects of activity during our daytime activities. Likewise, when we say here sattva, I want to make sure that it is spiritual in the spiritual sense, not so much in our vyavahara jnana. Our vyavahara does not help us increase our spirituality. And nevertheless, it helps us. If I'm very much interested in physics, I could be gaining a lot of physics knowledge. In that sense, it's probably true, but that's not what we are discussing here. So when rajas overcoming sattva and tamas, then we get into activity. And in night times, when tamas prevails, sattva and rajas take a back seat, and the person either sleeps or doesn't do anything, watches TV or something like that. Those are the activities during the tamas taking predominance. So this way we can manage our life, our spiritual life, by doing activities that are specific to sattva and rajas. And the natural progression is to go from tamas predominance to rajas predominance, and from rajas predominance to sattva predominance later on. So that's being shown here. Here this is a tamas predominant state. From here, you do engage as much as you are under the tamas, you exert a lot of willpower and do action. And by doing action continuously, you increase your rajas behavior, rajas proclivity, and you put aside your laziness. So you come here, and then when you come here, you not only increase a little rajas, but you also increase the sattva. You are moving vertically. So that means you are reading some scriptures. You are reading Ramayana, you are reading Mahabharata, you are gaining some insight into the spiritual, trying to understand the spiritual nature that is in there through book reading. So that is, and also doing certain things like doing all the expected dharma acharane in your life. So then you increase your the sattva that way. And then when you are here, after you do this sattva, rajas, then the only way for you is to increase the sattva, that's spiritual. When we want to increase the spiritual sattva, we have to reduce the rajas. So as you move along this line, you increase the sattva, you reduce the tamas, rajas rather. So from here to here, you reduce the tamas, you're moving towards lower tamas, and from here to here, you are moving towards higher rajas, higher sattva, and from here to here, you are moving from higher rajas to lower rajas, lower sattva to higher sattva. So this is the path that allows us to navigate to improve our spiritual gunas, spiritual outlook. Now, here, what is shown here is a couple of things. One is this plane, this horizontal plane, and this vertical plane. They are the only two important planes in this analysis. This is not important at all, because this plane is represented by rajas being 0. There is no life without rajas. There is no life with rajas being 0. Only if I want to make a point here is if you get a curse or if you get a boon, you can go from here to here. Like Kalidasa is given an example. He was, he had grace of Devi, and therefore he became an overnight Pandita, poet. So this is an unusual situation. That's not what is spiritual growth. So we will not consider this. We'll consider only these two. So in here, you chug along life, one life after one life after life after life, and somewhere along the line, you get interested in scriptures. You enhance your sattva, and then ultimately you follow a path towards realization. For realization, remember the statement, Nistrairgunyo Bhavarjuna, 1, and then Nityasattvastaha. Nityasattvastaha means you are moving towards absolute sattva. You are reducing your rajas almost to 10% or 5%. You are reduced your tamas also so much that you have only sattva in you. That is the state of Nityasattvastaha. When you come here, this is about, if I want to say this is about 95%, here is 100%. In meditation, you will go beyond the Shuddha Sattva, beyond the Sattva, you get to Shuddha Sattva. You know that we have that Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararama. Rama is described as Shuddha Brahma. That Shuddha Sattva is in him. And that is the state of realization. That's the state of becoming Paramatma, when you have transcended even sattva 100%. So this is the way we can manage these gunas. Now, this is just easily said than done. What happens here is this. I'll take another 2 minutes and finish this, and then we'll have some questions. So we have the 4 purusharthas: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Artha and kama are to be earned and fulfilled in the way of dharma, in the path of dharma, and then we will be eligible for moksha. That's what this means. I have certain desires. I have to earn the money or the resources required in dharmic way. So dharma has to be guiding us in the artha and kama. Krishna says in the 7th chapter, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am opposed to, I am desire, which is not opposed to dharma. He says so. And then when we get to the perform at dharmic level, then we can go into moksha, path towards moksha. Now, this kama can be dharmic or adharmic. In dharmic, if you do it as a desire motivated action, then that's what is called a kama karma. There you increase only your rajas. Whereas if I do the dharmic karma in a desire free nishkama karma, that helps us to increase my sattva. Adharmic karma that is motivated by desire, that increases the tamas, and there is nothing to say adharmic desire free. You don't do adharmic desire free. That's an oxymoron. That doesn't work. So these are the three options for us: dharmic, desire motivated; dharmic, desire free. And this is not even an option, but we are. It's kind of a default. If we don't do anything here, we default to this level: adharmic, increasing tamas. Okay. Now this is what we have to. Here we are operating in the dharma, karma being fulfilled by adharmic means here. And as you move up here, you get into the dharma level, active and arrogance, desi and ignorance, and then you make a transition from the horizontal plane to the vertical plane, and then move towards higher sattvas and spiritual growth. Now, as you are in this range, if you are operating in this range, there is a higher risk of my taking an animal or a plant life. If I am operating in this range, there is a higher potential of taking a divine life like Indra, Varuna, Yama, etc. I don't want any one of those things. I'm so focused on being a Paramatma, going up to realization, then I take the path towards this like this. So these are the management of Jivatma. This we'll stop here at this point. It's already 10 o'clock. So we'll continue in the next class. We are here at this point where we have to choose our actions in the direction that we want our goal to be. If our goal is to go over spirituality, all our actions should be nishkamya karma, and all of them have to be rooted in dharma. Dharma, nishkama karma is what we should be engaged in. And we'll continue in the next class from here. Okay, with that, if you have anybody have some questions, I can try to answer.
Ramakrishna ji, there is one question in the chat.
Okay, all right, let me see. Isn't desiring moksha is also an attachment of wanting something? Yes, that's a good question. Yes, it is a desire, and that's a desire said to be okay, or it is an encouraged desire, because that itself is what drives us. But as you proceed along the spiritual path, somewhere along it drops on itself. When we make advances in the spiritual growth, then that desire for moksha also will go away, and that desire for moksha has to go if he has to get moksha. Because we are talking here, moksha is attaining to the level of the Atma, and that can only be possible when there is no desire at all. And desire for moksha in the initial stages is good, is the right path to do. It's just like, if I want to encourage our children to have some desires, to have a goal and to work towards that goal. But as they grow older, their desire may not be an issue for them at all. They're already in that path, and there is no additional drivers required for them to achieve what they want. Okay, if there is no other questions, we'll wind up for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamivavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.